Welcome to Opposition Territory here at the Philadelphia Sports Table Podcast Show, the longest-running weekly Philly sports podcast show in the world. 12 years strong, actually about 12 and a half years strong at this point. We got a great Opposition Territory pod coming your way. We are previewing the Philadelphia Eagles and Minnesota Vikings matchup that is going to be right around the corner here. Both teams having interesting seasons, to say the least. And to dive into this pregame preview show with us from the Locked On Vikings podcast. You know, we love Locked On Vikings, love our Locked On network. We've got our good friend Luke Braun. Luke, buddy, how you doing, man?
Hey, Jeff. We're doing interestingly over here.
Same here, man. Same here.
We sure live in interesting times.
Yes, we live in interesting times in the NFL where you've got the Buffalo Bills dropping 2 games in a row. The Philadelphia Eagles, defending Super Bowl champions, dropping 2 games in a row. One to the New York Giants. I could not believe what I was watching this past week.
To everybody.
It does,
especially those division games, like you guys and the Giants, and like. Those teams know you. It's an equalizer. Yeah. I spent my whole childhood growing up watching the Vikings beat Brett Favre with worse teams than those Packers teams. Like it happens.
It does. It does happen. It's in the division games are so very interesting, and the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be playing the Giants actually right after this Vikings game. So twice with the Giants in 3 weeks. Fun.
Oh God, that's going to be. They're going to be mad, huh?
Brutal. Exactly. They're going to be mad. Absolutely. Well, buddy, I wanted to get into this Minnesota Vikings team. So I guess to start us off, you know, with folks who may not necessarily be following where the Vikings are at this particular point in the season. Look, this NFC North is a strong division at this point here. Mm-hmm. All 4 teams, they have winning records. Coming into this game against the Eagles, Vikings are 3-2 here. But let's kind of summarize what this Minnesota Vikings team is, who they are. So if you had to describe one word to you, to really hone in on what the theme of this Vikings season has been and who this team is, what is that one word and why?
Right now, that word is probably potential.
Okay.
If I could do 2 words, it's unrealized potential.
Okay.
They've been. This is an ugly 3-2. It's like this is not the Seahawks when they were 3-2 headed into last week, where you felt really good. They had their game against the Bears on Monday night. I'm sure a lot of you watched that, the opening game. They played really bad for most of that game. Same thing in London with the Browns. They played really bad, figured out a way at the end. They've played bad football more than they've played good football, and they've found a way to win a couple of these stupid games, and then they had Jake Browning fall apart in front of them. He's doing that to everybody. That's their 3 wins. So you walked into this season with a phenomenal group of pass catchers, Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson. Yeah, you didn't have Addison for the first 3 weeks. He's back. That's over. You had this retooled O-line you were really excited about, the Brian Flores defense. It looked like this totally stacked roster. The injury bug has bitten like crazy. Now they're getting a lot healthier after the bye, so we're going to watch these injury reports. But because of problems up front with those injuries, specifically with backup tackle Justin School, who we'll see if he plays, and other backups, problems up front, problems with the quarterbacks. JJ McCarthy and Carson Wentz have both had plenty of issues. I'm sure you're familiar with the latter's issues.
Oh, yeah.
But offensively especially, this just has not been the unit you thought it would be when you looked at that roster on paper. Not even close.
It's like a mirror image in a way of the Philadelphia Eagles from an offensive perspective. This is not the offense that we knew from last season at all. It's not. And we're certainly going to get into some trenches talk in a bit here, but we like to get into the strengths and weaknesses of the teams that the Eagles are facing on our opposition territory shows on a weekly basis here. So 2-part question for you. Let's start with the biggest strength of this Vikings team after their first 5 games of the season. What is that strength, and can you describe it to us?
It's a pass catchers. Everybody who's catching passes from, of course, Justin Jefferson. He's still doing his thing. The last time the Vikings played, they played against the Browns, and the Browns man everybody up because they got Denzel Ward and they had Greg Newsome. I don't really get why they traded him away, but they had these 2 corners that they feel really, really good about. So they man everybody up. Justin Jefferson drops a $120 on him.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good your corners are. Don't man up Justin Jefferson. This has been the lesson for the last 4 years, right? And a big part of that in the last couple of years has been that Jordan Addison can punish single coverage as well. And especially if you just say, well, we'll man everybody up, but we'll bracket Justin Jefferson, it'll be fine. Addison's going to scorch you. He catches the game-winning touchdown against the Browns. He gets this huge busted coverage play against the Steelers, and all that dude does is make huge plays in huge moments.
Right.
TJ Hawkinson, reliable safety valve over the middle, has all kinds of utility roles on this team, from chipping, helping to stymie these terrifying pass rushers, TJ Watt and Myles Garrett in back-to-back weeks. TJ Hawkinson has a huge role in stymieing them. Jalen Naylor is wide receiver 3. He has been open as much as a 7-Eleven. He is absolutely scorching guys, not always getting the ball for the reasons we mentioned before.
Right.
But he's scorching guys downfield, even, flipping the ball out to Jordan Mason or just getting the ball out to Josh Oliver and letting him try. Josh Oliver has a touchdown in Ireland. In week 3 against the Bengals. There's so many places to throw the ball that it really is a truly QB friendly offense once you block it up, assuming you can get at least 2.5 seconds in the pocket.
All right. On the flip side of that, let's flip the coin here. What is the biggest weakness on this Vikings team as we're heading into this matchup with the Eagles? I'm thinking it's probably on the defense, if I would have to say. Am I correct in that?
The defense is like one of the best in the league statistically. So it's kind of hard to say. I could talk about the run defense for sure. That's been a huge issue.
And that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
So far, the issue has been the O-line. Hopefully, it gets healthy. So let's talk about the run defense and say, hey, they're getting 4 out of 5 intended starters back this week. Hopefully, there's question marks around all of that, but the run defense has been putrid. It's been really, really, really bad. So they trade away Harrison Phillips at the beginning of the season. He was really their run stuffing D tackle. Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen aren't really that. Those guys are guys you want to single up on a guard in a pass play and try to get a sack out of them, right?
Yep.
And they have done that. The Vikings have gotten incredible pressure. They have like the best pass defense in the league. But their run defense is like bottom 5. It's been really, 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 really bad. Because those D tackles, you get a double team on them and you just sled them. And so I'm looking at a team like the Eagles that loves to be physical. I don't know what the deal is with Lyndon Dickerson, but like, who cares? Like Jordan Mailata, and I mean, you can have whoever you want at guard, whether it's Brett Toth or whatever. Double team whoever's at that point in that B gap, they're moving because we just don't have a guy that can hold on to that. Yeah. They've actually been putting in Jalen Redmond more, who is a very unknown, not a household name at all. That dude was an Arlington Renegade, I think, 3 years ago. And he is showing out like crazy. He is having like a genuine breakout season, and is starting to maybe push Javon Hargrave out of the rotation, which is pretty crazy. Like, you guys know Hargrave. Like, that's a dude.
I've loved him in the past.
He's taking snaps, man. They're kind of right to do it. It's crazy. Yeah. But you know that Javon Hargrave can't really hang on in the run game too. So I feel like the Eagles are going to look at him a lot.
Yeah.
I believe are expected to get Blake Cashman back this week, which should help with the run defense a lot too. But it's really, really hard when your D tackles just can't hold their ground.
Yeah, I was going to get into this a little bit more, and we will certainly, but I do wonder if this is going to be for the Eagles and for the rushing attack that has been suffering so bad this year. I wonder if this is going to be a, quote, get-right game for Saquon Barkley, as he's only averaging 3.4 yards per carry this season on 95 carries, which is like tied for 5th in the league. The rushing attack of the Eagles just isn't there. So I think we might get into this in a little bit here. But as we're moving along with the discussion and conversation here, Luke, like the quarterback position, I really want to dive into one I think that is very interesting. Mm-hmm. JJ McCarthy, of course, dealing with a high ankle sprain and injury, and former Eagles quarterback, as you mentioned, Carson Wentz, has been filling in. He's been showing some
Eagles
good
legend.
stuff yes.
Hey, ring holder, right?
Yes, absolutely. Look, he's showing
have a lot of those
stuff every now and then. He's also showing some not good stuff from time to time on the field as well. We still don't know, I guess, as of us recording this, whether or not McCarthy or Wentz is going to be playing this Sunday. How have you assessed both JJ McCarthy and Carson Wentz thus far, and how might both fare against this Eagles defense that, I mean, they've been struggling as well, especially from a pass rush standpoint. Quinyon Mitchell, if he's not able to play, we're still unaware of as of recording this. That's a huge issue in terms of the secondary. So how would you assess where the quarterback position play is right now for the Vikings?
Yeah, so the question is twofold because there's the health aspect of it, and then there's the like, okay, what if they're both healthy? What do you do, right?
Right.
So the health aspect of it, unfortunately, we're not going to know a lot. They just aren't going to tell you. For obvious reasons, they don't want the Eagles to know who's going to play quarterback. They want it to be murky, so they're going to keep it murky. We'll see the official injury reports, of course. That'll be super important, but that's probably all you're going to get out of the Vikings. So table that for now. Assume both are going to be good to go and healthy. They're both practicing.
Okay.
We know that.
Yep.
So let's just, for the sake of argument, assume that they're both going to be healthy. What do you do, right? The Vikings have made that decision. Kevin O'Connell said, like, there's the private answer and the public answer. The public answer is we're not telling you. The private answer, I'm not going to tell you, right?
Yeah.
So that means that they have a private answer, right? They know. And my read on the situation is that they're going to go back to JJ McCarthy. But if you ask other Vikings media people, you'll get a different read. I think people really struggle to read Kevin O'Connell's comments sometimes. But he's never really been one to say, that's our starting quarterback. He doesn't want to give the dreaded vote of confidence. He just kind of quietly started McCarthy and quietly stuck with him all offseason in a turmoil of all kinds of other rumors, none of which came to fruition. Right. Quietly, they just kind of said, no, we're not doing any of that. And J.J. McCarthy went and started. He struggled a lot in his first 2 weeks, but he also had some good moments. Like there's growing. It's a young quarterback, right?
Right.
And then Carson Wentz comes in and had his own struggles in his own ways. It's the same stuff you guys saw. It's no different than what you were looking at in 2019. That he makes some cool plays, improvises. He turns down inexplicably open first reads. He holds on to the ball. He tries to make the hero play when really he just needs to get rid of it. Sometimes he panics and flips it out to a check down well before any routes have developed.
Yep.
I've called him a first read and improvised quarterback. And that's not really the kind of offense that Kevin O'Connell wants to run. And when you ask him about J.J. McCarthy, he talks so much about all the things he's excited for J.J. McCarthy to get better at. Not in a way of like, here's all the things he's bad at and I need him to improve, but more like, oh, he's getting this down now and this is happening and we're working on that and that's really cool. And he is just like bright-eyed when he talks about McCarthy.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to go with McCarthy. I can't say that for sure. And they're not going to tell you until game time. But that's my read.
And McCarthy's still growing. I mean, he is still growing as a quarterback. This is essentially his first year, and he is the type of quarterback coming out, honestly, that I had some concerns with. You know, I'm a Penn State fan. I watched J.J. McCarthy for many years, and yes, he mainly was, blowing up Penn State's defense every now and again. However, he goes to the NFL, and like every single NFL quarterback, there are issues. And there are certainly developmental aspects of his game that need to be honed in on. He's not going to be perfect right out of the gate. So I'm wondering, against a struggling Eagles defense, can we see a productive J.J. McCarthy if he is going to be the starter?
I mean, so like you're banged up in the secondary, which is going to be a big thing, right? You have a banged up secondary, and we have, I just said, our greatest strength is probably the pass catchers.
Yeah.
I learned quite a bit about the Vic Fangio defense during the 1 year the Vikings ran that scheme, which was Ed Donatel. Went horribly, but I learned the system at least. And a lot of what I think the Eagles are going to have to do is essentially call, I forget the name, the play call they used to do, but it basically be quarter, half. Their cover 6 with cover 2 toward Justin Jefferson. And that essentially guarantees that there's a safety over top of Justin Jefferson. There's always going to be somebody low on Justin Jefferson. And then quarters the other side. So the Vikings are going to bring out all their quarters beaters and then run them to the side opposite Justin Jefferson. If I'm the Vikings, that's the game plan I'm coming up with. And I know that works because I saw the Vikings try to do that stuff to other teams when they had good receivers. And then we got lit up by everyone's wide receiver 3 in 2022. Yeah. So I'm hoping for those concepts to really work out, but you got to block those. You got to block it up, and you got to keep the O-line. You got to keep the quarterback upright no matter who he is. But with McCarthy, if he does start, what I'm looking for is timing. both timing of the actual plays, right? Can you get the ball out, top of the drop, maybe a hitch or two, get the ball out? Can you throw with anticipation, all that? McCarthy has thrown with anticipation this year. I think better than Wentz has. So I can see that, but he's also had plays where he holds the ball, where he doesn't quite see what he's doing, where he gets to the read, but he's too late, or he gets to the read, but he's too early, and he's moved off of something before it broke, and the timing's just not quite there. He's getting used to it.
Right.
But it's also the timing in between plays. The Vikings would break the huddle with McCarthy. They'd break the huddle with 10 seconds left. They got delay of games. You got D linemen teeing off because they know you can't hard count. There's 0 on the play clock. So they would tee off. You got a backup O-line, and you give up a bajillion sacks. There was this, and this problem didn't really get better with Wentz. So that feels like more of a structural organizational issue. Or it got a little better with Wentz. So we'll see. So like, can you get in and out of the huddle, right? He's 22. Can you handle these 25-word Kevin O'Connell play calls, relay them properly, get everybody lined up straight, and then actually play some quarterback? And I think they're still learning how to work together in that. Yeah. So you're still getting a very much like growing pains quarterback situation, or you're getting Carson Wentz and you know how to attack that.
Right.
But I would say that health probably impacts this more. I think if both guys were fully healthy, I think Kevin O'Connell says, okay, let's resume this JJ McCarthy thing and try to get this to work, because I think that's the vision for the offense that they had going in. And they're not going to give up on that after 2 games, which entailed 54 dropbacks total. They just didn't run a lot of plays in those 2 games because the defense couldn't get off the field against Atlanta. So it's way too early for them to just put their young quarterback that they were super excited about in Rice and limp through the rest of the season with Carson Wentz and just resolve to go 6-11.
There's a lot of growing pains to go around as it pertains to this coming game, whether we're talking about the Vikings or whether we're talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. And we're certainly going to be getting into more of those growing pains after our break that we're going to be taking right now. But Luke, tell everybody where they can find you on the socials out there. Again, it's the Locked On Vikings podcast, folks. I listen on Apple Podcasts. You should listen on whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on. I believe you're on YouTube as well. Tell everybody where they can find you out there, man.
Yep. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, just look up Locked On Vikings, Locked On whatever, right? Locked On Eagles. If you want to, Louis. I'll be hopping on with him later this week as well.
Nice.
But yeah, you can find Locked On Vikings wherever you find your favorite podcasts. If you want film breakdowns, if you want something a little more visual, my Patreon page, patreon.com/LukeBraunNFL. Most of what is on there is free except for the most recent few videos. And actually, I have a big, long one on Carson Wentz if you want to watch and see how Wentz is doing. Big, long one that's totally free to watch.
Sounds good. Folks. We are going to get into some more offense and defense when we get back from the break. Stick with us. We'll be right back. All right, we are back, and again, we are with Luke Braun from the Locked On Vikings podcast, and let's now dive into some trenches talk here, because the Eagles offense and their line, they're having some trouble, to say the least. Yes, there are injury issues. There's just some timing issues as well that we have been seeing. They've only been able to score the defense or the offense themselves a maximum of 17 points in both of their last games against the Broncos and the Giants. And with regard to third down, this is what is most troublesome as an Eagles fan for me in terms of the offense. They're 3 of 20 on third down over these past 2 games, which is absolutely horrendous for a team that dominated the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl this past year. So we'd like to talk about the trenches on our Opposition Territory podcast here at Luke. How do you see the Vikings defensive front stacking up against the Eagles offensive line that is having its troubles, to say the least? I know we kind of got into it before with regard to the defensive pass rush or the defensive run stoppage we talked about before. In terms of the pass rush, how are you seeing things shake out here? So for the Eagles, I think the interior pass rush is the scarier thing, the Jalen Carter of it all. Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. The one starter we know the Vikings won't have is Ryan Kelly. He's still on IR. Michael Juergens dealing with a hamstring injury. No idea what you're getting with that. I think he's supposed to return to practice this week, but that's enough. The injury report on Wednesday is going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of answers on it. And so you have Blake Brandel, who played center for the first time ever in London against the Browns. Did pretty well, but first time ever center. Snaps weren't quite right, and he's a backup player for a reason, right?
Yep.
I think that's exploitable. You've got a rookie in Donovan Jackson, who I think has played well coming off of a wrist thing. He got a minor surgery. He should be back this week. And then Will Fries at right guard is a veteran who's been up and down as well. So those guys are all kind of question marks. We've been mostly happy with the starters there, but we just haven't gotten the starters as much.
Yeah.
And so I would say that's probably it. They've been pretty rough at picking up stunts, but just the vanilla rush for hope to win hasn't quite been enough to get through this O-line. If you run some stunts, some games, some blitzes and stuff, you got to do that. But those take time. Those have costs to them as well, right? If you pull a guy out of coverage, you can probably make that happen. But one interesting thing with the Vikings, because of that physicality issue I was talking about, is the tush push. I wanted to bring this up with you. So
that's right. We got to get into the tush push because you got a big article coming out about this. I believe a 3,000 word article.
Yeah, nice. A 3,000 word tush push article.
Nice, folks.
At wideleft.football. Yes. I not all 3,000 are about the tush push. There's a lot of like history of the QB sneak.
Okay.
And I'm like the QB sneak is ancient football, right?
Yeah.
The formation that you see with the tush push, there is a clip from a game from 1903, Princeton versus Yale, using that formation. I mean, this is like age-old traditional stuff.
Okay.
Which was a kind of a retort to the Micah Parsons tweet from that Thursday night game of where he was like, "This isn't football." Oh, yes, it is.
Yeah,
this is football that your great grandpapa watched.
Look, I'm loving Luke's take on this so far. Keep it going, buddy.
Yeah, I think Eagles fans will like my take. My take is go ahead and ban the pusher. You won't stop the Eagles because I don't think the pusher himself actually has that big of an impact on the play. I think more often than not, the die is cast by the time the pusher gets involved.
Yeah.
So go ahead and ban him. Go ahead and take it away. Ban pushing of the runner. Ban the defense from doing it too, and you won't get all these like forward progress scrums if you really want to do that. But I think that's hard to do without getting a lot of collateral damage on other plays. And like the proposal that the Packers put forth last year, I think would have had collateral damage, and I'm glad that it failed. They'll probably try again this offseason. The vote was closed for the first time, so we'll see. But I went into kind of the scheme. The tush push is more than just everybody get together and push. There's more nuance to it than that.
Yes, there is. The offensive line is so key. I mean, there's a reason why Jordan Mailata said, I 50% love it and I 50% hate it. He's like, after like the fifth or sixth time, it's really taking its toll on my body. And he's like, I hate it at that point. It's
basically the sled. Players hate the sled.
Yeah.
I know he's hurt right now, but I've been on record on Locked On NFL saying Landon Dickerson's the best guard in the league, and what he does on the tush push is part of it, him and Mailata. Yeah. So when most people want to attack a QB sneak, they think this thing's going up the A-gap. This is the thing that I don't get, is I don't know how everybody watches all these, and all these teams think that this play only ever goes up the A-gap, because it doesn't.
It doesn't. Right.
So they point 4 players at the A-gap, and they tilt all their alignments, so everybody's diagonal, and everybody's showing their oblique to Jordan Mailata, and then he pushes them over. If you watch George Karlaftis on all of the ones that you ran against the Chiefs, oh my God, he's getting destroyed. He's 5 yards downfield, and he's ass over tea kettle. What's going on? and then you see, the next team line up the exact same way against them, and the next team line up the exact same way against them. And it's like, I don't understand. Like, are people not watching this?
Yeah.
Our team's not watching this?
I love this take.
What's going on here? So I don't think it's an unbeatable play. I actually did a statistical analysis too. The Eagles are 13 of 17 on QB rushes with a yard or less to go. Excluding, or I think that includes one scramble, one Jalen Hurts scramble that was a run, or that was a pass play that happened. I think it was like a 2-minute drill or something.
Okay.
But still, right? 13 of 17, which is as bad as they have ever been at it. Usually that is an 80% play. That's well below 80%. All QB sneaks for the last 10 years have been an 80% play. Teams on average are like 79.6% conversion rate on 1 yard to go QB rushes. I'm sure that includes some zone reads, but like for the most part, that's sneaks, right? So this is not an unstoppable play. It's a sneak. It's a sneak like any other, with a pretty good line and a pretty good schematic little wrinkle with attacking that tilted nose. Get good. That's my thing. Get good. And I think the Vikings voted to ban it. I disagree with them. They also tried to run it. They're really bad at it. Because other teams don't understand what's happening here. This is not just a rugby scrum. Right. And all of the talk is about the rugby scrum or the pusher behind and everything like that. No, this is a C-gap run play that goes behind the tackle.
Yeah. Yeah. Luke, tell everybody again where they can find the article that you wrote about this 3,000 word article.
So you can find there's like Greek phalanx stuff in there. It's wide ranging article at wideleft.football.
Yep.
There's a famous battle in ancient Thebes that's like kind of a perfect metaphor. It's fine. And you can also find
deep into the weeds. I love it. Yes.
And I'm a trench guy too. Okay. You can also find a film breakdown of, I broke down every single tush push the Eagles have run so far on my Patreon page, patreon.com/Luke Braun NFL.
Wow. Fantastic. All right. Well, moving along with the conversation. Look, the Eagles have had some injuries on the defensive side of the ball, specifically Nolan Smith. He's been missing some time. Also, their number one cornerback and Quinyon Mitchell now dealing with a hamstring injury. Not sure if he is going to be able to play this week as of us recording this. Defense, they're just going through a bunch of these midseason challenges here. When you look at this Eagles defense, where do you think the Vikings can really exploit it? I'm thinking probably the secondary based on what we talked
Keely
about
Ringo
earlier.
Is the answer, I think.
Oh, exactly. Or Adoree Jackson if he's in there. Oh my gosh, it's just been an absolute mess. What are your thoughts here? I would think the secondary is where the Vikings can exploit the Eagles defense, correct?
Yeah, so I remembered the word. It's Zeus. This is the Fangio word for when you play quarter half with the half over a player that you really don't want to go off. When there's a Justin Jefferson across from you, you would play Zeus. It would be called Zeus 18 would be the coverage call. Okay. And so that's half cover 2 over the side with 18 and quarters over the other side. So what I would want to do is attack that by either putting bunches to Justin Jefferson's side. So you now have cover 2 versus 3 players. That's really hard for there's a lot of cover 2 beaters that come from that. Or I'm going to leave Justin Jefferson over on that side. I'm going to make sure I line up Justin Jefferson away from Keely Ringo because I believe the Eagles play sides, right? Where Ringo's on the same side every time. Yep. So I'm going to put Justin Jefferson away from Keely Ringo counterintuitively so that Keely Ringo has to play quarters. And then I'm going to have Jordan Addison and Jalen Naylor over there. And I'm going to run quarters beaters at him, much of which might be posts or just like a fade, and I'm taking my chances at that matchup with Addison and Keely Ringo, just trying to like isolate that. That's how I would do things. Also, Kevin O'Connell, because he coached with a Fangio style defense with Ed Donatel for so long, or for 1 year at least, he learned a lot of what he practiced against it. He learned a lot of ways to just have beaters for those middle of field open defenses, and then you just got to be on your P's and Q's with blitzes, because the thing that separates Fangio from all of his little spawn and all of the people that have come off the Fangio tree and been DCs all suck. They've all been absolutely terrible. Fangio has not, and the difference is that Fangio is way more aggressive with blitzes, and for some reason, nobody else gets that memo when they leave. Yeah. So you've got to be on your P's and Q's with blitz pickups and stuff, which is, again, do we have a young quarterback that doesn't know how to do that? That could be a really big key here. But if you do that, then I'm trying to isolate Keely Ringo. You're probably not going to let us do that with Justin Jefferson. Yeah. But I can do that with Addison and sort of put Jefferson away as the decoy. And he's still going to be able to run basics and stuff and cover 2 beaters on his side and still get his.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see this matchup for sure. And as we end our pregame preview show here, like we do on all of our opposition territory podcasts, briefly here, we're going to talk about what both teams are going to need to hit on for a win this week against the other. So let's start off first. What's the one thing the Vikings are going to need to hit on for a win against the Eagles this week, Luke?
You have to keep the quarterback upright. Whichever quarterback it is, keep him upright. Hopefully 4 out of 5 starters are back on the O-line and we have a better chance to do that. We won't have to use TJ Hawkinson to chip an edge all day long because we have some idiot at tackle that doesn't know what he's doing. But hopefully they can keep the quarterback upright. If they can do that, then all of these, then so much pressure gets put on an Eagles secondary that I think is too banged up to hold up to that pressure. And the Vikings can probably move the ball with a lot of chunks.
All right. On the flip side of that, what's the one thing the Eagles are going to need to hit on for a win against the Vikings this week?
If the Eagles can't run with Saquon Barkley against this run defense, I think that you are sounding a lot of alarm bells about it. I think you got to go do trade deadline stuff or something. If the Eagles can't run on this, like, you have to get the run game going. Even if
Yep.
that doesn't lead to a win, even if you end up losing and you're disappointed, but the run game worked a little bit, I would still say you could walk away with that and say, all right, we're leaving here with something. We figured out one problem, and that'll help us going forward. But I think, I mean, look, if Saquon Barkley gets going, I don't really see a world where that doesn't turn into a win. But
Right.
I think it's so important for the Eagles with where they're at right now, how weird the vibes are. You've got to get Saquon Barkley going, have that element, get those boxes loaded up again. You got to see Saquon go off for 200 in this one, and you walk into the next game, and then all the boxes are loaded, and A.J. Brown's one-on-one all day. That's how you turn back into the Eagles that won the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah. He is Luke Braun, folks, from the Locked On Vikings podcast. Fantastic content. Check out what they got going on over there, and they're going to have their crossover show a little later this week with our good buddy Lou DiBiase from the Locked On Eagles podcast. Again, Luke Braun, Locked On Vikings podcast. My friend, it was great having you on the show for the very first time. I'd love to have you back on again if you're up for it.
Of course.
Come back and join us, my friend.
Let's see if the Vikings can get you in like a 2-7 wild card round matchup, maybe, sneak in like idiots and then go get killed in the wild card, and we'll do this again.